Most men think silence means everything's fine, but for her, silence is the loudest cry for help. Last night, I saw her sitting alone in the living room. No lights, no TV, no phone. Just silence and a cup of tea in her hands. She wasn't upset, just distant. I stood there, wanting to ask, "Are you okay?" But I said nothing, just like her. Have you ever watched the woman you love grow quiet, retreat into herself, and you didn't know why? A woman over 50 doesn't go silent because she stopped loving you. She goes silent because too many times she tried to speak and felt unheard. She used to open up, hoping to connect, but eventually she got tired of trying. But here's the thing. It's not too late. Stay with me until the end of this video because I'm going to share one small, simple action, something you can do tonight that just might make her look at you like it's the first time all over again. A woman over 50 doesn't fall silent out of anger. She doesn't stop talking because she's holding a grudge. Her silence isn't a punishment. It's a wound. A slow, quiet accumulation of hurt and disappointment that's been building for years. There was a time she used to talk freely. She shared her thoughts, her dreams, her worries. She laughed more. She reached for you, not just physically, but emotionally. She asked you questions about your day, your mood, your heart, and she waited for your answers. But over time, when her words were met with half-listening, or distracted responses, or quick fixes instead of presence, she began to retreat. Not all at once, just a little, then a little more, until one day you noticed she doesn't share like she used to. She doesn't open up anymore. But here's the hard truth. She didn't stop because she had nothing left to say. She stopped because it hurt too much to keep trying and be met with silence in return. She's still there. She still cooks your meals, folds your laundry, sits beside you at dinner. But emotionally, she's drifted far. Her silence is not absence. It's a quiet cry for someone to notice her again. And the saddest part? Most men don't even realize this is happening until the distance feels irreversible. But it's not. If you can begin to understand that her silence is full of meaning and pain, you can take the first step to reconnect with her heart.
Most men don't notice the emotional distance growing until it's already wide and deep. Why? Because we think our presence alone is enough. We tell ourselves, I stayed, I didn't cheat, I provide, I come home every night. Isn't that love? And yes, those things matter. But to a woman over 50, they're not enough. Not anymore. Because being physically present isn't the same as being emotionally available. You might be in the same room, sharing the same bed, even eating the same meals. But if you're not truly there with her, if you're distracted, zoned out, or emotionally closed off, she feels alone, even when you're sitting right beside her. Life gets busy. Work drains us. The stress of bills, health, family, we carry it all. So when we see her quiet, distant, or withdrawn, we assume she's fine. That's just how she is these days, we tell ourselves. But that's not true. Her silence is a signal, not a personality change. And when we ignore it, when we treat her emotional withdrawal like a normal phase, we unintentionally send a louder message, your feelings don't matter enough for me to notice. And that, more than anything, makes her retreat further. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She doesn't even need long talks every day. What she needs is your full attention, even for just 5 minutes. A look into her eyes, a question that shows you still care, a moment that says, you're not invisible to me. Because love isn't about staying, It's about showing up emotionally again and again. By the time a woman reaches her 50s, what she truly craves isn't flowers, expensive gifts, or weekend getaways. Those things might have dazzled her once, but now they feel like surface solutions to deeper needs. What she wants most is presence. Not your wallet, not your plans, you. She wants your eyes when she speaks, not half listening while you scroll through your phone. She wants your hands, not just when you want something from her, but when you simply want to say, "I'm here." She wants to talk without being judged, interrupted, or fixed, just heard. Because emotional safety is what a woman over 50 values most. And that kind of safety doesn't come from money or a clean house. It comes from knowing she matters to the person who's supposed to know her best. She spent decades caring for others, children, aging parents, even you. She sacrificed dreams, buried stress, and smiled through exhaustion. Now, she just wants to feel seen. She wants to know that even after all these years, someone still cares enough to look her in the eyes and ask, "How are you really?" Not out of habit, not as a favor, but because her heart still matters. It's not about fixing her day or solving her problems. It's about standing beside her emotionally, even when she's quiet, moody, or unsure of herself. The women who stay after 50 aren't looking for grand romantic comebacks. They're hoping, quietly, patiently, for simple, sincere connection. One steady hand, one soft look, one real question. That's what makes her feel loved again.
I remember the night everything changed. We were lying in bed, backs turned, like we had so many nights before. The silence between us had become normal, but something about that night felt heavier. She shifted slightly, her face toward the wall, and without thinking, I whispered, "Are you okay?" There was a pause. Then I felt her shoulders tremble. She didn't sob loudly. She didn't scream. She just cried quietly, as if someone had finally heard a sound she'd been making for years. And that's when it hit me. Her silence wasn't peace. It was a quiet cry for connection, one I'd been too busy, too distracted, or too numb to hear. That simple question, "Are you okay?" wasn't revolutionary, but the way I asked it, with no agenda, no need to fix, just being there, it mattered. I didn't realize how long she'd been waiting for me to notice her again, to touch her without expecting something, to look at her and actually see the woman behind the routines and responsibilities. Her silence didn't need to be solved. It needed to be honored. And once I understood that, I stopped trying to fix her feelings and started walking beside them. It's humbling to realize that someone you love has been hurting next to you, quietly, for years. But it's also empowering, because one gentle gesture, one moment of sincerity, can be the start of healing. Sometimes the loudest cries are the ones no one hears, until someone cares enough to listen with their heart. If you want to reconnect with the woman beside you, truly see her again, and make her feel loved after 50, it doesn't take grand gestures. Sometimes it just takes small, sincere actions done with quiet intention. Here are 3 powerful yet simple ways to begin. 1. Touch without expecting. She's likely used to touch that comes with a purpose. Affection when it's convenient or when you want something in return. But what she deeply craves is a touch that says, "I'm here," not "I need." Next time she's in the kitchen or folding laundry or just reading quietly, walk up behind her. Gently place your hand on her shoulder or the small of her back. Say nothing. Expect nothing. Just be there. That kind of non-demanding touch can melt walls built over years. It tells her she's still seen, still cherished, still worthy of affection that asks for nothing in return. 2. Bring back her name from yesterday.
What did you used to call her? Honey? Sweetheart? Something only the two of you knew? Reaching into the past to pull forward a memory, a nickname, a phrase, a silly inside joke can awaken something long buried. I once called my wife Red because of her fiery hair in our 20s. One evening I looked at her and gently said, "Red, are you still in there?" She looked up, eyes shimmering, and whispered, "You still remember?" That moment wasn't about the name. It was about being remembered. Sometimes all it takes is reminding her that the girl you fell in love with still matters to the man she shares a bed with now. 3. Listen without fixing. This might be the hardest for us as men. We're wired to solve, to offer solutions, but what she often needs most is just to be heard. Next time she shares something, don't rush to respond. Don't give advice. Just sit with her, hold her hand, nod when she speaks. Let there be pauses. When she feels safe to speak without fear of judgment, correction, or being brushed off, that's when healing begins. It's not silence that hurts a woman most. It's being unheard in the moments she dares to speak. These 3 actions, when done consistently without performance, can rebuild trust, spark intimacy, and remind her she still matters. Not as a wife or a partner, but as a woman seen and loved just as she is.
If you're going to take these steps, if you're ready to love her again the way she truly needs, there are a few things you have to remember. These aren't quick fixes. They're quiet commitments, and how you show up matters just as much as what you do. First, don't do it out of fear. Don't reach for her hand because you're afraid she's slipping away. Don't whisper kind words because you're desperate to keep her from leaving. She'll feel that, and fear doesn't heal. It only delays the truth. Do it because you want to love her again, because something inside you finally understands that she deserves more than just your presence. She deserves your attention, your emotion, your tenderness. That kind of love comes from a mature heart, not a panicked one. Second, don't expect change after one try. These small actions, they need to be repeated, gently, consistently, without pressure. She may not respond right away. She may even seem distant at first. That's okay. Years of silence can't be undone in a moment, but trust builds one soft gesture at a time. And finally, be real. Women over 50, they've seen enough to know the difference between sincerity and performance. They don't need drama. They don't need flowers for show. They need to feel your truth in your tone, your timing, your touch. If your heart isn't in it, she'll feel that. But if it is, if you're really showing up from a place of love, not guilt, you'll see something shift. Not instantly, but deeply. This isn't about winning her back. It's about growing into the man she can trust again with her words, her silence, and her heart. Loving her again doesn't mean starting over. It means learning to see her with new eyes, the eyes of a man who's finally ready to understand the woman beside him. If you're still sharing a home with a woman who once gave everything for you, don't wait for her silence to turn into distance that can't be closed. Don't wait until the light in her eyes fades completely. Tonight, say something simple, something honest. Look her in the eyes and say, "I don't know everything about you, but if you're willing, I'd like to get to know you again, from the beginning." She may not respond with words, but watch her eyes. You'll see if she hears you. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, maybe it's your wife, your partner, or someone you once deeply loved, leave a comment below. I read every one. Because maybe tonight, with just one small act, one gentle word, one soft moment, you'll hear her voice again. Not the voice of routine, but the voice of a woman who still wants to be loved all over again.